Good morning, everybody. Good morning. We're a little late. I apologize. The Safety Committee meeting ran a little late. Do we have any public comments?
Good morning, Chair. We have 2 members of the public registered to speak today. As a reminder, we ask that all public speakers adhere to the MTA's rules of conduct and decorum. I would also like to remind our public speakers that, in the interest of time and fairness to all speakers, we limit everyone to 2 minutes. Please be aware of the clock in the front of the room and the warning light you will see reminding you that you have 30 seconds left to conclude your remarks. The first speaker will be Murray Bowden, followed by Aaron Dubin.
I'm short, can't see you all. At the last safety meeting, there was a lot of talk about the manual uniform traffic control devices, and that they were referring to, well, it's in the book. This is what we have to do. This is the 1988 edition, my personal copy. Much of what they talked about safety at railroad crossings came out of this book. They don't recognize the fact that we have automatic driving, and then here, I've brought this up many times. It needs to be a yellow line on the left for the driver. There cannot be any confusion. The white lines on the left come from 50 years ago, even before this. You got automatic drivers. You got buses that look by themselves to see where they're going. The line on the left everywhere must be yellow. The design that was designed when Robert Moses had parkways is long gone. You've got the expert here working for you. Kathy taught me this when she was chief engineer of the Thruway. It has to be consistent. You got buses, cars. Every accident slows everything down. The failure of putting it simple. Don't confuse the computers on the trucks and the buses. They're now the cameras telling you everything. The camera tells you where the bus is supposed to go. You got cars going all over the place driving by themselves. Yeah, I talk too much. I'm sorry, but this is safety. If I don't say it now, I can't do it anymore. It's time that you have to change it. Don't use a book that's 50 years old.
Thank you. The next speaker is Aaron Dubin. Mr. Dubin, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you for having me. I would like to address how there is only one direct route into Staten Island from Brooklyn via the Verrazano Bridge. In order to further connect our city, there should be another tunnel or bridge between the 2 boroughs that facilitates transit directly, such as the newly proposed IBX, connecting that to Staten Island. And one of the possible connections should be between the North Shore branch, which could be reactivated, of Staten Island, and connecting that to the IBX in Brooklyn. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, that concludes the public comment.
Thank you. At this time, I request approval of the minutes. Second?
I second.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Are there any changes in the bridges and tunnels committee work plan?
There are no changes to the work plan.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning and welcome to the July 2022 MTA Bridges and Tunnels Committee meeting. Before we begin, I would personally like to welcome our new B&T committee members who joined us last month. My team and I look forward to be working with you. I'd like to start off today's meeting on a proud note by recognizing 3 B&T employees who each played a heroic role in life-saving efforts during separate incidents at the Verrazano Narrows Bridge last month. We are honoring Bridge and Tunnel officers Dennis Hewitt and Michael Chorney, as well as Assistant Vice President of Maintenance Carlo Giambanco, with our life-saving awards, as each one of them on separate occasions were able to recognize and respond to a person in emotional distress. While on patrol, Officer Hewitt, who's not able to attend today, encountered a person walking onto the Verrazano Bridge. Through conversation, Officer Hewitt recognized this person may have wanted to harm himself. He continued to engage the individual until additional support arrived on the scene. While on patrol, Officer Michael Chorney observed the person walking towards the bridge span on Staten Island, and after speaking with this person, Officer Chorney recognized they needed assistance. He maintained communication with the person until backup arrived. Finally, and this all wasn't in one day, this was in the month of June, these 3 occasions. Finally, Assistant Vice President of Maintenance Carlo Giambanco was on duty making his rounds on an early Sunday morning when he spotted a vehicle stopped on the bridge span. AVP Giambanco immediately ascertained this person was in emotional distress and prevented the person from exiting her car until additional support arrived. All 3 individuals were transported to hospitals by medical personnel. While these are not everyday occurrences on our facilities, these employees warrant praise for using their training and expertise to safely manage these events. I commend these employees for their quick actions in recognizing the situation and getting these individuals the proper help that they needed. So would Officer Chorney, AVP Giambanco, Commissioner Mack, Vice President and Chief of Operations Rich Hildebrand, Vice President of Maintenance Charles Passarella, please step forward. We'd like to present everyone with the Life-Saving Award. Make sure you stand on separate sides.
David, get right, and I was gonna say, David, get in the middle. Or wait for this gentleman to go over this stuff.
It has been deputized.
I know.
Thank you so much. All right.
Okay.
That's awesome.
A little personal comment. We should have more of these.
Thank you. On to operational business. In keeping with our core mission to collect and protect toll revenue, we wanted to touch on some points of interest regarding traffic patterns beyond the numbers in the book. And Richie Hildebrand will be going over some specific reporting, but we wanted to show a little chart that we look at from time to time to see how our pre-pandemic and our pandemic numbers through the years, how they're comparing. So if you take a look at the chart, the black line is 2022 and the blue line is 2019. And as you can see, 2022 is the closest we've seen in the last couple of years to pre-pandemic numbers. And as I've been saying, the traffic patterns and the traffic trends are also things that my staff and I look at. And June was summertime traffic. This is a typical summertime traffic pattern where earlier in the week we have less traffic, and as you get to Thursday and Friday, you see the traffic kick up on the weekends. So with 2019 being our highest volume year with a record of 331 million vehicles crossing that year, we see that 2022 is not too far behind, and the traffic trends are showing that. So you could take that off the screen, and I'll go into my last piece. Another indicator that traffic is back is our 1 million vehicle traffic days. For example, in June 2022, Bridges and Tunnels had 6 instances of 1 million vehicle traffic days. If you look in the book, we're about 900,000, 930,000 on average. So when we hit that 1 million traffic mark, somebody's calling me and go, hey, we hit 1 million vehicles yesterday. So we definitely look at that. And the last couple of years, we haven't been hitting those days. So this year we had 6, and when you compare to 2019, in June, we had 7. So we're basically right there. So I just want to give that little tidbit of information before Richie goes into deeper detail. So with that, this concludes my remarks. If there are no questions, I'd like to turn it over to Rich Hildebrand, Vice President and Chief of Operations for the Report on Operations. Rich?
Good morning, Dan. Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. The report on operations in this month's committee materials begins on page 15. As the unofficial start to summer, Memorial Day weekend, approached, B&T traffic continued its growth through May with an average increase of nearly 19,000 vehicles per day versus April. Bridge and Tunnel Traffic also reports traffic counts for 2022 that were stronger than May of last year, as well as May of 2020, during which B&T continued to feel the effects of the COVID-19 restrictions. Paid vehicular traffic in May of 2022 was 28.9 million vehicles, which reflects an increase of 7.5% over the 26.8 million crossings in May of 2021 and was 93% higher than that we had in May of 2020, with 13.9 million more crossings. When compared to May of 2019, when there were 29.2 million paid crossings, that's a decrease of 1.3% from May of this year. EasyPass market share was 95.1% again this May, which matches last year and 2 years ago as well. For June of 2022, preliminary B&T traffic was 3.6% higher than in June of 2021, 44.2% higher than in June of 2020. And according to preliminary traffic data, traffic for June of 22 was 0.2% lower when compared to that of June of 2019. The rising cost of gasoline did not affect our traffic counts for May of 2022, as gas prices rose for the 16th time in 18 months. Gasoline prices averaged $4.83 per gallon in May of 2022, which was 54 cents higher than the $4.29 per gallon in April of 2022. This is also $1.79 higher than in May of 21 and $2.68 more than 2 years ago. And weather conditions for the month of May did not have an adverse impact on B&T traffic. With that, this concludes this month's report on operations, unless there are questions, and I thank you.
Thank you, Rich.
Thanks.
Now turn it over to Senior Director Pashko Kamaj for Health and Safety.
Good morning. The safety report, which begins on page 31, maintains performance metrics to be generally positive as traffic volume continues to trend towards and within the pre-pandemic levels. B&T safety report includes the following. Overall, B&T's May 2022 total collision rate was 4.0 per million vehicles, which is 30% better than the rolling year of 2020, representing the very beginning of the pandemic period. When compared to the last year, the results are slightly higher at 3%. The collision with injury rate was 0.74 per million vehicles, which is 21% better than 2020, but slightly higher than the last year. Employee safety metrics over the 12-month period are as follows. The employee lost time injury rate was 5 incidents per 200,000 work hours, reflecting a decrease of 8% compared to 2020 and 30% lower than compared to last year. If there are no questions, that concludes our safety report.
Thank you, Pashko. There is one B&T competitive procurement this month. I'll turn it over to Lynn Gore, Deputy Chief Procurement Officer, who will now present it.
Thank you. Procurement start on page 50. MTA Bridges and Tunnels has one procurement action being brought through the Bridges and Tunnels Committee for approval this month. There are no non-competitive procurements or ratifications. There is one competitive contract in the amount of $113.38 million. B&T is seeking board approval to amend a personal service contract with Conduit State and Local Solutions to add funding in the amount of $113.38 million and to extend the contract term for 17 months to provide customer service center services for EasyPass New York customers. I submit this procurement action to the committee for approval. Unless there are any questions, this procurement is described in detail in the committee report staff summary. Thank you.
I just have a question. Why is it only 17 months? It's just so weird.
We need it until we transition to our new contracts, and it takes some time to transition.
17 months. That's great. Thank you.
Any other questions on this? Okay. I'd like a motion to approve it.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Motion approved.
Thank you. If there are no other questions, this concludes the Bridge and Tunnel report.
Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Okay, thank you, everybody, for your time.
Thank you. See you in September.
Coming.
Thank you.
Yes. Have a good August.